a todos. El día de hoy estamos en el podcast de los Lawchadores con su servidor Roberto Campos, Guillermo Hernández y Pablo Rivera, socios de la firma Rivera Hernández Campos. El día de hoy estamos en un episodio muy especial para nosotros, pero también para la firma como tal, ya que el 1 de mayo, en algunos días, estaremos cumpliendo 2 años de existencia de Rivera Hernández Campos. Sin lugar a dudas es bastante especial para nosotros, ya que fue un proyecto que realizamos con muchísima fe, con muchísimo cariño y amor, y en realidad es lo que consideramos o considero en un bebé, y ha crecido sano y fuerte, y estamos muy orgullosos de eso y de compartir con ustedes lo que han sido estos últimos 2 años.
Como un pichoncito de elefante.
Como una dinámica bastante interesante que preparó nuestra productora del podcast, Jackie Salinas, el día de hoy vamos a estar contestando algunas preguntas para ustedes con respecto a la existencia de Rivera Hernández Campos. Entonces, Guillermo, dando los honores de contestar la primera.
Tienes que leer la pregunta primero.
What does RHC law mean to you? These are kind of deep, no?
Yeah.
I feel like we could have started with some softball questions. What did you guys mean? Well, so, I mean, this has been a big part of my life for the past 2 years, right? And maybe there's going to be questions about how we met and stuff like that, the origin stories. I'm very fortunate. I know that I get to have a law firm with 2 of my best friends. We get to work together every day. Pablo has a standing meeting in our offices at 8:45 to come and drink coffee and talk strategy for the day. But that's been like an important thing for me, for my mental health. I just think not everybody has that, where they get to work with people that they really love and they enjoy and get to grow a business together. And there's, I'm going to tell you a little bit about one meaningful post in our Instagram history back when we first started 2 years ago, and we were trying to experiment with marketing. And each of us were trying our hand at what posts would work and what captions. And Pablo, showing his heart on his sleeve, put a picture of us with our spouses from our grand opening ceremony. And on the bottom it said, "Somos familia, somos comunidad." As much as I make fun of Pablo for that, these guys have become my family. They're at our house often. Our kids play together. They grow up together. And so RHC law, to me, means somos familia as well. So I'll pass on the question.
So what RHC means to me, it means everything. It means everything because it's most of the time of my life for the past 2 years have been spent in this office with my law partners, with the employees here. And it really is a great part of my life. That is, RHC is the reason why I'm able to provide for my family. I'm able to help my clients. I'm able to get wins, but also I get to experience losses that have made me a better person and a better individual. So that is why RHC is that important to me.
And now it's my turn, and actually I want to point out about the Somos Familia, Somos Comunidad. The reason they make fun of me is not because of what it says, it's just that if you would look at the post, you wouldn't know what we do. Like, it's just, you have no idea if we were just a group of friends just posting a picture, or if we would be teachers, or you wouldn't know what kind of business. So that's why they make fun of me, because they just said Somos Familia, Somos Comunidad. Anyway, actually, something very important is kind of a little bit redundant on what they said, but I've always thought that sometimes it doesn't matter what you do for a living. It's more important the people you do it with. And I could go in and my work could be just stirring a pot of hot liquid all day, but if I was with Guillermo and Roberto, that would be a way more fulfilling experience, and I'm happy to go every day to stir that pot of hot liquid than if you do it with people that, they're not your friends or you don't like. So I think that's the biggest thing that I take away from Rivera Hernández Campos. Besides that, obviously, like, Guillermo said really formal, it's a job, but it's that it's really, we get to do it with people that we love. And like Guillermo said, we spend time together, our kids are growing up together. So it's a very gratifying experience that goes beyond the success that the business may have in economical. So that's really important. You wake up and you go like, yeah, I'm gonna see my friends, and that's it at the office. And if they're traveling, because they do that all the time and I'm the only one working, sometimes I don't want to come to the office. I'm like, why am I going to go to the office? They're not there. I don't have anyone to talk to. So yeah, it's been great. What is a piece of advice you will give to anyone who's interested in opening their own law firm? That's a good question. And I think the first thing I would say is, if you want to do it, do it. Do it, don't wait. I was thinking about doing it for years, and you always think, is now the right moment? Should I do it? Hey, there's never gonna be a perfect moment. Do it. You want to open your law firm? Do it. What I said earlier is that do it with people that you trust and that you love and that you're friends. And I know a lot of times they say, well, keep personal and business. Well, for me, everything is personal, and you need to have, if you're gonna open your own law firm, look for people that you trust, that you're gonna enjoy working with, because it's a big thing. You don't want to be really excited about opening your own law firm and then finding out that you don't like someone like Roberto. So, I will say those are the two main things. Just really go for it. You're gonna have to work hard. It's not easier just because it's your own law firm. You're gonna have to work harder, actually. But just go for it and look for people that really compliment you, that you enjoy their presence, and that you trust.
I could say the piece of advice that I could give to people that are opening their own law firm could be, do not be afraid of asking questions to the people that have gone through the same process. Throughout the last 2 years, we've experienced a lot of great advice from people that we look up to, and really that people is always going to be willing to share their advice. That's one, and two, the grind never stops. You should never stop working hard. If you had a great month, you should keep on working, because maybe the next month is not going to be as good as you thought or as you think it's going to be. So that's why you need to keep on pushing every single day, no matter how good the business is doing, and that's going to save you a lot of headaches. I think right now we're very fortunate that the three of us share that same way of thinking, and that is why the business have been growing steadily, and we've been having fun with that.
Well, and to add to that, if you're going to open a law firm, look for someone like me, and that will make it way better. And you will be more successful.
I think I would add, and maybe echo what Roberto said, is finding mentors, right? There's people who have been in the business and have been running law firms, forever, right? And so reaching out to those people in your profession, having lunch with those people, figuring out how they run things, reading books, right? There's some good business books, law firm books, that practice management stuff that we've recommended back and forth of, what are some ideas of how you can make your firm successful. And then, I don't know, for me, I don't think I could have done this on my own. Maybe I could have, but it wouldn't have achieved the amount of success we have. It certainly would not have been as fun. Being able to go down the hall and talk to somebody about what's going on in the case or what's going on in the firm and brainstorm solutions, that's a huge deal for me. And there's been times where they're out of the office, right? It's not just Roberto and I travel. There's times where any one of us could be the only one here working in the office as a partner, and there's fires we have to put out. And I can't imagine that being the reality every day, of having to make those decisions day after day without somebody else to bounce ideas off of or vent to even. Sometimes our 845 coffee is just venting about things that are going on either with the practice, with the business, or with our families, and we just need an outlet. Finding somebody, even if you are solo and you're opening your own law firm, having somebody you trust that you can go to for these kind of decisions that you have to make.
Great. I think it's my turn. This is a good one, actually. How did you all meet? I think this is one of my favorite questions whenever they ask that anywhere. So,
Really appropriate that you got it, actually.
yeah, actually. La pregunta es cómo nos conocimos. Bueno, primero conocí a Guillermo y luego conocí a Pablo. La razón por la cual conocí a Guillermo es, primero lo conocí en el 2018.
Sí, creo.
2018-2019. Guillermo era mi abogado de inmigración. Yo, como diría Pablito, como todo el mundo sabe, yo soy de la Ciudad de México. Yo soy mexicano, nací y crecí en la Ciudad de México y eventualmente viví en Estados Unidos. Guillermo era mi abogado de inmigración, él me asistió en mi procedimiento de residencia permanente y le comenté, yo creo que durante la consulta, que yo estaba estudiando para tomar el examen. En ese momento Guillermo me pareció una persona sumamente seria y tiempo después, cuando pasé el examen, Guillermo de alguna manera se enteró y mandó un correo. Yo en ese momento estaba trabajando en raíces y me ofreció un trabajo en la firma donde estábamos anteriormente, que era Vida Light, Rodríguez y Haynes. Entonces yo comencé siendo su asociado primero, que básicamente era su empleado. Guillermo era mi jefe, y cuando llegué a la firma fue cuando conocí a Pablo. Pablo y Guillermo eran mis jefes en ese momento. Pablo y Guillermo ya eran socios de la firma en Vida Light, Rodríguez y Haynes. Y estuvimos ahí, yo estuve desde el 2020, febrero de 2020, hasta mayo de 2022, que la firma se separó y cerró la oficina en San Antonio, y fue cuando aperturamos Rivera Hernández Campos. Esa es la manera en que los conocí a ellos. Obviamente en ese inter pasaron muchísimas cosas, en cómo se constituyó la firma. Después de que se constituyó la firma, obviamente antes de que se constituyera la firma había una línea muy clara entre mi relación con Pablo y Guillermo, ya que pues ellos eventualmente eran mis jefes. Sin embargo, ahora, después de que fundamos Rivera Hernández Campos, la relación es una relación de amistad y ha sido excelente y una gran experiencia, pero esa es la manera en la cual nos conocimos.
Y quiero añadir a eso que obviamente fue un cambio bien fuerte para Guillermo, porque al principio no quería que Roberto fuera socio. Él no quería que Roberto fuera socio, y yo dije, no, o sea, él se ha ganado esto, él trae mucho a la mesa y a esta nueva empresa, y Guillermo estaba, pero no, yo soy el mentor de él, todo lo que él sabe es por mí. Y Guillermo, no seas arrogante, vamos a mentira, eso es un chiste interno que tenemos, pero fue una transición bien fácil, y creo que fue una decisión, la decisión correcta que hicimos de ser los tres socios de la firma y empezar esto juntos.
Yeah, so I met Pablo in law school. We went to law school together at St. Mary's here. Entered in the same year and graduated together. I was involved in the Hispanic Law Students Association, and my third year I was the president of that organization. And so Pablo was also a member, and I'm pretty sure that's where I remember meeting. We were in a meeting one time, and I just heard this strong Puerto Rican accent and laughed across the room, and there was Pablito. So, I mean, we were friends in law school, and then I, had a few different jobs after law school, and actually worked at Raíces, where Roberto worked before, for a little bit, and then I was looking to transition out of nonprofit work into private practice, because at that point I had my first kid, Guillermito, and was just, trying to make a little bit more money than nonprofits can offer. So I applied for this position, and I knew Pablo worked there, and so when I got there for the interview, Pablo came into the conference room first, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you looking, you're looking to go to private practice." And so I remember having a good conversation with him, and then I met our former law partner, Steve, interviewed for the position. That went well. They offered me the position, and I got to know all the other lawyers in our Valley office at the time, here in San Antonio, and I started there to build a practice. Really, the story is Pablo had this idea of diversifying the firm's portfolio of practice areas, and he started immigration, but then he didn't have the stomach to move on with the cases. So I came on, built up the practice, and actually, I knew Roberto's wife before I met Roberto.
That's true.
I met her at RHC when I worked there. And I think Roberto was referred over by another mutual friend we have, Fatima, who I also went to law school with. And so, I mean, I remember him coming in for the consult and asking him, like, oh, you know, how do you hear about us? And he said, oh, this from Fatima. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know exactly who's referring you over. It was my client, as he mentioned. And then the firm was growing, the practice was growing at the time, and I really needed some help with the cases. And he kind of stuck out because the profile of like having someone with some experience, and I saw he passed the bar, and I thought like this would be a good candidate to bring on. And so fast forward, you know, a little over 4 years later, and here we are.
And actually, the only thing I'm going to make a joke, I'm going to add something serious to what Guillermo said. And it's that when I started doing immigration, I really didn't know. I just wanted to diversify the practice areas of the firm that I was part of. And I didn't know what I was doing. And it was really, when he said I couldn't stomach, it's like, I hated going to this federal court and immigration court and thinking, you know, this person can be deported. And that would keep me up at night, especially because I don't know if I was really, you know, knowledgeable enough to be doing that. And once Guillermo came, really he just took over and built the practice, and that really was a successful practice because of Guillermo. And I told him the other day, which I think he was surprised that I told him, because I like to joke around, but the serious that the reason we're here today really has a lot to do with what Guillermo did. If Guillermo wouldn't have grown the immigration practice and build what he built, then probably Rivera Hernández Campos wouldn't be here today. So really, it was great that I really didn't want to continue doing immigration and brought him over.
What inspired you to start the law firm, and how has your vision evolved over the past few years?
I feel like that question is the question you get asked when someone is applying for a job and said like,
Yeah.
so what do you want this job?
I have bills.
I like eating.
Really, I think it was, you know, I had very good experience being a partner with Pablo at the other law firm back at the LRH, as we like to say around here. But I think just that firm, the makeup of the partners, some were kind of older on their way out to retirement. Maybe, I mean, they're still all practicing at this point. So,
But Guillermo wanted to push them out now.
and I think some people had different visions for the firm, and I think that's important, right? Because I think we all have here a very similar vision of growth, of advancing the firm, of justice for our clients. So I think there were different visions for the firm, and that firm kind of came to its natural conclusion. And so there were some options on the table of like, do I stay there and kind of grow my practice there and continue? Pablo was already thinking of leaving, and we had that conversation before, actually, even a few years before we split up. Of, you know, would we be interested in going out and starting a firm together? And so I think really in 2 years ago, 2022 was the right time for us, right? It was, and maybe it was a little bit overdue, but it was kind of like things were wrapping up at that firm. There was going to be a clean break. We stayed around, right, to help the office there and gave plenty of notice. And it was actually a very amicable split. And I'm very grateful to that firm because they gave us, you know, a good start, right? I mean, we got to bring over furniture and equipment as part of our splitting away from the firm. And so I'll be grateful for them forever for like investing in my practice, for believing in my practice and letting me grow that practice. But also that it was like a very amicable split for us and put us in a good position so that we could hit the ground running on May 1st, 2 years ago. Because I don't know that it would have been, we would have done it. And I have no doubt, I believe in these two guys just as much as I do myself. And if I had to bet on anybody, I would bet on us 100 times over. And we could have done it, but they gave us a good head start. And so I think just that natural end and like a good beginning, right? Like Pablo, Roberto, and I have good chemistry. We have a shared vision, and that's been since the beginning. And so I don't know that I was like inspired, but it was kind of like this was the right thing to do, and it was the right move. And it was scary, right? I don't think it was like
An easy transition.
an easy transition. All transitions can be hectic. I have 4 kids, right? My youngest one is 2, and so he was just born when we were starting the firm a few months. Roberto had his first kid right before we split up in the firm. Pablo has JP, and so we all have young children, families to think about, responsibilities, and like the threat, or not the threat, but the fear of like, what if it doesn't go well, or what if the clients aren't happy with it, or I think all those were always in the back of our head, but I think I knew we would be successful either way, right? Like that it would work out. And I forgot the second, it's like a compound question. How has your vision evolved over the past 2 years? I mean, I think like one thing that's helpful about, again, being in this partnership is that we all have different ideas, different life experiences, different things we bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Roberto is very like forward thinking with technology, incorporating AI, looking at things that we can do to make things more efficient, which also resulted in us starting a company in Mexico, right? That we use virtual assistants in Mexico to help us be more efficient as a firm. And so I think that has helped our practice evolve, because that would have never happened at the old firm. And so things like that, like being able to adjust to change and having partners that are willing to listen and take risks and support each other throughout the process, I think has been how our firm has evolved over the past 2 years.
One thing I do want to say is that a lot of times people think that just starting something new means that you don't appreciate what you had before, and I think it was really fair what Guillermo said. It's not our former firm, we were partners there, and then they really help us, people that we respect a lot. My mentors. I got started after law school working with Steve Haynes, who was then later our partner. And that's also something important that some people forget. Don't ever be ungrateful about the people that were before and that helped you when you were starting. I think that's sometimes pretty common, and as humans, we make changes and then we kind of diminish what we had before, or we criticize or forget about the people that helped us to get here. So I think that's also why I'm such a true believer in the three of us, because I think we have a vision together, but also we know that we're here because of other people that have helped us to our journey, different journeys, but that we needed help, all of us, the three of us, to get where we at, either starting from our families to friends to co-workers, mentors that we found along the way. And even though we had different journeys, the three of us, we have an appreciation of like we're here, not only because of our hard work, but also because of the people we encounter on that road to get where we are.
Yeah, and I think I meant to say, like, we all have different life experience that we bring to the table, but we also all complement each other very well. Like, there are some things that we have a robust discussion about, like personnel or finances of the firm, and we all come at it from a different angle or different perspective. And sometimes it's like, well, we need to invest in this, and one of us is like, oh, well, hold on. We need to talk about this, or we need to think about this. So I think in that respect, we complement each other in the way we manage the firm, and that's been very beneficial.
What lessons have you learned along the way that you wish you knew when you first started the firm? Yo creo que la principal sería estar, como dueño de negocio tienes que estar o sentirte cómodo con lo incómodo. Ser dueño de negocio significa que vas a tener muchos tiempos muy buenos, pero también va a haber muchos tiempos malos o difíciles, y eso es parte de la norma como dueño de negocio. No todo es miel sobre hojuelas, y como dueño de negocio tienes que aprender a sentirte cómodo con eso y buscar la mejor solución para sacar el negocio adelante. Esa es una lección que me hubiera encantado no aprender, más bien entender y saber cómo vivir con eso, número 1, y 2, pensar en el negocio y las interacciones humanas como si el negocio fuera a ser un negocio que fuera una compañía multinacional. Mantener barreras profesionales, ser lo más profesionales que se pueda, a pesar de que eso puede ser difícil al principio debido a que es un equipo bastante no limitado, pero sí reducido. A largo plazo, cuando el equipo crece, hay ciertas cosas que son difíciles de cambiar, sobre todo con la parte de política, reglas, y siempre tener esa parte bastante clara.
And to echo what Roberto said, that will be something that I would have liked to know when we started, is that when we started the law firm, it was this really tight group that we've been working for a long time. It wasn't only like Roberto and Guillermo, we were Ilse and Suhey, and they've been with us for years, and we felt comfortable, and it was a family. Like we're just a group of friends, and we bring them over. And I would have liked to realize that when you're opening a business, it's not going to stay like that. If you have plans to grow, you have to implement some rules and barriers from the get-go, because then when it grows and you're comfortable with the people, you know, that people come from all ways of life, and they have different personalities and different approaches to work, and if you have a set of rules that are consistent for everyone, then that will work better than just be really informal. And believe me, you will save a lot of headaches in the future. So if anything, I agree completely. I would have started a little bit more structure in the terms of the relation between boss and employees and all that. It's just because that's not my personality. I don't like to.
Yeah, you would never believe that Pablo likes to joke around.
Yeah.
Have fun and happen.
Yeah, you'll be really surprised. I know I get the impression of this serious person, but I'm really relaxed. No, it's that's something that I've learned, and
it's hard too when that's your natural personality. Like you want to be friendly and joyful and joke around and show people your shoes, like fiesta time year round. For those that don't know, Pablo has like a pretty impressive shoe collection. But I think it's hard when you're in that level, right? Like running your own business, to learn how to draw those boundaries and keep things, clear for the people that work for you. The other thing I would add is like learning to trust your intuition. I think all of us have a pretty good sense of people, have good gut feelings when evaluating like things for the business or other people. And so learning more to trust yourself is important as well.
Okay, it says here, where did the concept of Lawchadores come from? Oh, actually it was my idea. It was, but no.
Actually, evolution.
Yeah, no, we were talking together again. It's always great to have these conversations between the three of us, because we do bring different ideas, but the same vision. It's really great because we have kind of the same vision of where we want to go and who we are, but obviously our experiences are different. I'm 46 years old, and I've lived like 2-3 different lives already. I was a manager of a children's shoe store for 7.5 years. I had 2 daughters when I was 18 and 20. Then I was a medic in the army, and I went to Iraq twice. Then I went to law school, and I became an attorney. Then I had a 5-year-old. So I've experienced all this, and I'm from Puerto Rico, and I joined the army from there. So, como todo el mundo sabe. So I bring that. Then you have Roberto. He's from Mexico City. He came here as an immigrant. He studied law. Yeah, well, yeah. He came from Mexico with his degree was from Mexico, so he had to study here another degree, and then study for the bar for a legal system that was completely different from what he studied. You have Guillermo who brings the experience from Uvalde, small town. He's a singer, he's a musician. He he brings that to the table. No, it's true. It's a different. So we have the same vision, but we bring different life experiences into the conversation. So we were talking about branding, and it's a fine line with attorneys, and especially how it is in Texas. There's a fine line between, you have to be kind of like be innovative with marketing, do some innovations, but at the same time, at least from our perspective, not cringy or kind of like.
And there's a lot, like there's the law bulldog, law hawks, like law tiger, law sharks, and I think like we see that and figure out like what is our identity want to be. And I think like I remember pushing out early, like, what do you guys think about LUCHA law or Lawchadores? And like those were kind of thrown around initially, and it like stirred there for a while, and we just kind of went back and forth, but it wasn't like catching, right? Like I really liked the idea of a luchador, like culturally, like the significance it has in Mexico, South Texas, even Pablo grew up in Puerto Rico watching luchadores, and I think that's such a fun cultural character. And I think Pablo one day was like, well, what do you think about Lawchadores, like combining the thing? And so I think really at the end you were the one who kind of took those ideas and like merged it together into what.
Now, one day we're gonna do a lucha between the three of us. We're gonna dread now.
Okay, next question. Can you share a memorable success story or milestone that stands out from the past 2 years? I mean, I feel like there's a lot, and I know I mentioned earlier about like innovation and Roberto bringing to the table his connections in Mexico and being able to start that business, and that really came out of a need from the firm to serve our clients better, right? We wanted to get better at communication, turn around cases faster, get work out faster. And so, I mean, one success story that sticks out to me is August of 2022. Is that when we started that temple? Like
yes.
We went down to Mexico and we met with the attorneys there. We signed all the documentation so that we could start that company, that legal entity there in Mexico. We celebrated, and it was just like a nice milestone that we had together of that achievement of another business venture together that was going to help support our firm here, the operations here, and really kind of propel us forward in our partnership.
That was a really surreal experience, and to be there in another country, creating this another business entity, it's really, that's been something that I never imagined in my two past lives that I was ever gonna be part of it. And again, that's because of the people I'm involved with and who we are. It's not a coincidence that it's called Del Campo. Roberto being the main figure in all that venture, so he's El Presidente. So his name is Campos, his last name, so that's why he's Del Campo. So that that didn't come from out of nowhere. So I would definitely agree that's been something that I never imagined or planned for.
Next question. What have been some of the biggest challenges you faced since starting the firm, and how did you overcome them? I think the biggest challenge that we've had has been growth, managing growth. And growth is a good thing, but it also comes with a lot of growing pains. And it's good and bad, right? Because with growth comes a lot of economic growth, but also more responsibility. And as immigration attorneys and PI attorneys, there is a lot on the line for the people we are representing. So if we have a lot of cases, managing that amount of cases has been the most challenging matter to handle. However, I think we have been doing great at handling that growth, especially for a firm that has been in existence for 2 years. The amount of people that we have on staff right now here, I think is way beyond that we have expected when we first started the firm, one. And two, the people that we are using to service the firm in the US abroad also add a lot of value to what we have here and help us solve this new challenge.
Yeah, and I think when we first started the firm 2 years ago, we really we weren't sure what to expect, and we thought it was going to be the three of us, right, working, and Pablo, who had done defense work for 11 years before, was starting this personal injury docket with really 0 cases, right? And so we were like, well, we'll bring the immigration clients. Pablo's going to be answering phones and filling out stuff as a paralegal, and we're just going to handle the growth as we go. And we realized that that was not going to be our reality, right? That we were bringing in over too many cases, too many clients, and we would have committed malpractice if we tried to do it that way. So I think, our reality has been different than what we expected, and then 2 years later, we've experienced this growth. For me, I think the harder challenge is people, right? Because with business growth, you have to be strategic and responsible about how you grow, because people depend on you, employees depend on you, their families depend on you, and there's a lot on your shoulders. But with people comes emotions and feelings, and learning how to navigate that, I think, is a challenge as well.
How would you describe the firm's philosophy when it comes to serving clients? Actually, that's a really great question, because I think, and I don't want to really attack the other attorneys, my colleagues that do defense work, but that's something that I even brought in from my other firm, and I'm going to explain to you really quick. I know it can get boring, but when you're a personal injury defense attorney, you're hired by the insurance companies, and they're your like the people that give you your book of clients. They pay your bills, but they're not actually your clients. A lot of people call them clients. Like, for example, I don't want to say the names of the companies, but company A, B, and C, they're the clients of the law firm that does defense PI work. But what they do is that they give you the cases when they sue one of the insured. And the actually person that's insured by that company A, B, or C is your client. The usual that they see the insurance company as their client, and they're not. Is that person that was involved in the accident that's insured by that company. And I was like that as a defense attorney. Even though the companies were the ones paying our bills, my fees, I always saw that person as my client, and I was looking out for the best interest of that person, not the insurance company. And that what brought me to I'm tired of working with insurance companies, because sometimes they don't even have the actually insured, their own client has their best interest in mind. They just see dollars and signs. So now as a personal injury attorney, and obviously in immigration, the person that we work with is not only a dollar sign. And I know this, there's a lot of cynical people that think as attorneys, and especially as personal injury attorneys, all we see is dollar signs. But they're not. They are our clients. We approach everything to what's in the best interest of that person, what we have to do for that person so they get the best result possible. And that sometimes means that I will take less money than what I think the person could get, because that's what they want. They don't want to deal with the litigation. They want to get it over with, and I cannot put our interest of I want more money over the interest of the client. So I think that's an approach that is in both practices, and that we believe that the most important thing is what's best for the client, and I wish everyone was like that. I've seen it in different practices that is not, and it's pretty sad, but I think that's the best thing, and the best practice is that you put the client's interest before anything else.
And maybe I just want to add before we move to the next question. Part of our philosophy at the firm, at least the three of us, has to do with our phrase, right? Tu lucha es nuestra lucha, your fight is our fight. So I think, at least from my perspective as an immigration attorney, Tu lucha es nuestra lucha reflects a lot on what I've experienced, a lot of the empathy I have with my clients. I know what it means to be in the immigration process. I know what it is to be at some point out of status. I know what it means to be unable to legally or have authorization to work in the United States and how frustrating that can be. And that's why when I talk to someone and I tell them, I understand what you're saying, I feel you, I really understand what you're saying because I've lived through those issues.
That's an important thing that Roberto brings to the table. And I remember even when I had the position open and I knew, I'm familiar with how the immigration process works because this has been my practice. And Roberto was actually like waiting on a work authorization renewal, and my partners at the time weren't comfortable, taking him on without like the actual document. Even though like he was going to get it, we had to wait for a few months to bring Roberto on to the program. If you could go back in time and give advice to your law school self, what would you say? That's hard because I feel like I had a really good law school experience. I enjoyed law school. Maybe be better friends with the Puerto Rican student there. I think one thing too is just like knowing your worth, because I think for me, I'm a first generation attorney, like the first person in my family to go to law school, postgraduate degree, and that was a difficult journey to navigate. And I think a lot of times in that space you develop imposter syndrome, like, do I really belong here? You look at some of the faces in the profession, and brown people are still a minority in this space. And then especially in some of the rooms that I've been able to be in with just some of the organizations I'm involved with the state bar and different things like that. And sometimes I walk into the room and I'm one of a few young brown people in those spaces. So I think I would tell myself like,
wait. How old are you already?
Yeah, I know.
I think you're getting,
I stop referring myself as young.
Yeah, you can say I'm one of the few brown people.
Relatively speaking, because sometimes, like, for instance, like this, I'm not going to say the organization, but this event I went to a few weeks ago, most of the people there were older, like in their 50s, 60s, older white male in this specific organization. And so I think relative to that crowd, I'm still young. But either way, like I'm one of the few brown people. And so I think sometimes I still struggle in those spaces and still struggle of like, what am I doing here? And I would just tell my law school self, like, you'll figure it out, know your worth, you belong there, you have a space at the table, as long as you make it. And then I think the other thing, and this is always important to me now, is like, when you're in these spaces and you can make a difference, like, make sure you make room at the table for those who come after you.
That's very good. Last question. Looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations for the firm in the coming years? Viendo hacia adelante, ¿cuáles son las metas y aspiraciones para la firma en los años venideros? Yo creo que si lo tuviera que sintetizar en una palabra sería crecimiento. Y claro que cualquier negocio tiene como parte de su proyecto natural el crecimiento. Sin embargo, el crecimiento sostenible es algo que es bastante importante para nosotros como firma. Creo que ser cuidadosos en la manera en cómo crecemos, número 1. 2, a quien traemos a la firma como parte del proyecto va a ser algo fundamental de aquí en adelante para tener y sentar bases bastante sólidas para tener un crecimiento sólido, pero también estable. Y eventualmente ser felices con el crecimiento y ser felices con lo que estamos haciendo. Creo que sería como la meta final y eventual de la firma.
Y yo creo que algo que puede ser difícil a entender es mucho trabajo, ¿no? Estamos aquí la mayoría del día trabajando y tratando de crecer algo bueno, y es por nuestra familia, right? Like, we want our children to have a better life than we did growing up. And I think like that's certainly why I do the hard work. Like, I want to see us successful. I want to see us advance. I want to see the firm grow. But I go home and my 2-year-old that runs to me, or my kids that are like happy with their Fiesta floats, because right now when we're recording this in Fiesta season in San Antonio, like I want them to have a good life, and I want them to have a better life than I did growing up. Not that I have a bad life. I don't want to say like but better, right? Better experiences, more experiences. And I know that's already the case because if you ask my oldest son where he prefers to eat, it's not like McDonald's when I was growing up. He wants to go eat sushi. And sometimes I think maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I think the hard work is for my family. I think all of us would echo that.
No, that's important. Actually, I remember that for us, the fancy place to eat when my parents would get paid was Pizza Hut. Nice. And it was like, once or twice a month, and it was really like great to go and to get a Happy Meal from McDonald's was like once a month, and you have to like really ask. It's like, I comí en la casa, like everyone says. And now, my son is like asking sometimes, like, oh, order me this, and I don't want it delivered. I want to go and get it. It's like, really? Like now he's like picking, like, I don't want to wear it, so I want to get in the car and get it. But yeah, no, we work hard for our families, and I think it's really important that we keep sight of that. And to go about what would I tell my law school self? Actually, I have to be honest, by the time I went to law school, it was like I was having a great time. I've already gone through difficult parts of my life, and law school was great. Which I would have told myself, like, why don't you take one more year studying for fourth year? And really, it's real, and it's been something that I never dreamed of, to be where I'm at right now with the people that I'm at, and I think that's what keeps me. When I was going through some hard times, every Friday I will play the lotto back home, and I would really like buy it with the desire, like, I'll be thinking, I will start imagining what I would do, and the next day I will wake up and literally go and get the newspaper to go and check the numbers, and was disappointed every Saturday that I had to like go get dressed and go work, and that my life has not changed. And now I keep playing now. I do play, but sometimes I even forget, like, oh wait, I played the other day. Let me see if I won. And it's not like it's not good. Like I would definitely like to have the money, but it's not the same. It's not a, oh, if I don't win, my life is gonna be being this miserable. No, I just play just because I doesn't want more money. But sometimes I will even forget and find the ticket in my wallet. Like, oh, I played like the other day. Let me go check these numbers. When before I really had to like go and check, and was disappointed I have to put my shirt on and go work again on a Saturday. Ticketing. Which again, great experience, and they were there for me. It's one of those things, like, as much as I would like to say like I hated it 7 years, but they did a lot for me, and the people that were there for me at that time too.
I think those are all the questions we have. I think just to close down or to wind down the episode, we just want to say thank you to all the people that have supported us for the past 2 years. Clients and referrals are what makes a law firm. Business is what makes a law firm. And for the trust that people have put in our firm and in our work, we're going to forever be grateful, because that's the reason why we're here. And that's the last thing I have to say. Yeah, we have some pretty big cheerleaders, I think.
Yes.
Even as we were looking at our YouTube channel and updating that so that we could start to upload these podcasts yesterday, and we're looking at episodes we live streamed 4 years ago on Facebook, and we look a little younger and a little different, and I think we've grown into our practice and into what we're able to offer. But we've also had some big cheerleaders, in those Facebook Lives. You could always count on Roberto's mom, my dad. We would at least have 2 visitors there, two viewers, and they're still there today, and some of our biggest supporters. And so I echo that. We are eternally grateful for the people who have cheered us on along.
Yes.
And who continue to stand by us and support us.